ladies and gentlemen, Vanessa Spina.
Hi guys, it's so great to get to be here with all of you. My name is Vanessa Spina, and I love ketosis. Can you say it with me? Ketosis. I was just on my way over here in the Uber, and the guy was asking me, what's this conference going on over here? I was like, oh, it's a fitness and nutrition conference. He's like, oh, okay. Like, what is it about? Oh, the ketogenic diet. Okay. So what is that? Well, it's this diet, when you go off sugar, and it can help reverse diabetes, And when I say that, I still kind of feel weird saying that sometimes. Like, is it okay to say that? And he goes, oh, I know you can reverse diabetes, yes. Yes, you just go off of all the sugar, and you go off of all the meat. I was like, excuse me? Yeah, you just go off of all sugar and you go off of all meat. And, it's just coming out now. This is what helps people, cure their diabetes. I was like, okay, so what's with the meat then? He's like, oh yeah, it has to do with your respiratory system. Yeah, so if you go off of meat, it helps cure diabetes. I was like, okay. So anyway, raise your hand if you learned some great takeaways that you are excited to go home and try. Well, I'm about to give you 8 more tried and true keto hacks that will get you results, especially if you've been stalled. Welcome to Keto Hacks. I am so honored to get to be here with all of you. I've been having so much fun at this conference, making new connections, making new friends. I work online, and I'm alone most of the time, so it's so much fun to get to come here and actually connect with all of you and meet all of you in person. I don't know about you, but I'm already looking forward to KetoCon 2019. Are you with me? Now, we all have to go home at some point. Unfortunately, all good things do come to an end. And I just want to warn you about something as you're going home. My husband suffers from something known as keto fatigue. Keto fatigue is characterized by having a close friend, family member, or spouse who cannot ever stop talking about keto. Common symptoms include the following: moderate to severe glazing over of the eyes, severe boredom, strong feelings of regret over those carbs they ate earlier that day while listening to yet another rant about the dangers of eating too much sugar, carbs, big food, or big pharma. This is one of my husband's go-tos. Staring far off into the distance, yearning for life before keto. Strong urges to yawn and having to stifle said yawns while maintaining active eye contact. This condition currently affects the following people: my parents, sibling, in-laws, close friends, and our cats. Also affected, neighbors, people at the coffee shop, Uber drivers, except for the one today. The elevator, anyone that I may come into contact with. Population most at risk, strangers on airplanes who are unable to escape me for hours on end. Cure? There is no known cure at this time because I don't know about you, but I am not going to stop talking about keto to everyone I can anytime soon. And I want to thank all of you personally for all doing your part in spreading the message despite these dangerous risks of keto fatigue, and sharing the message, because this is what makes our community so great and so strong and so amazing, and it's honestly my favorite part about keto. It's all of you. Now, raise your hand if you are more fired up about keto than ever before. I know I am. Now, I'm about to give you 8 more tips to help you get results, especially if you've been stalled. My name is Vanessa Spina, and some of you may know me as Ketogenic Girl. I kind of feel like a superhero when I say that, and I actually feel super thanks to keto. I didn't know just how good my life could be, that I could be this healthy, this full of energy, getting to live all of my dreams come true. I have the privilege of getting to be a keto guide, helping people learn and try out the ketogenic lifestyle. I'm the author of a recipe book called Keto Essentials, host of a podcast called Fast Keto, which I absolutely love doing more than anything. And I create resources to help make the keto lifestyle easy for people to navigate. I feel so lucky to have found my way to keto because it happened when I was at my lowest point health-wise. I had been seeking answers for most of my life. Now, my nutrition journey starts back in childhood, and seeing as we're going to be spending a little bit of time together, I hope you don't mind if I briefly tell you a bit about my story and what led me to keto. So, my childhood, I grew up, where do you think maybe I grew up based on my accent and how I look? Any guesses? Canada. Canada's one? Almost. California. Now, if you were thinking China, you'd be right, because that's where I grew up. And unfortunately, back in the 80s, there weren't a lot of options for foreigners. So I grew up eating a lot of westernized versions of Chinese food, which you would all recognize here as takeout. It was all chicken and pork and beef covered in batter and deep fried in vegetable oil, slathered in sugary sauces and served on white rice. Pretty much a metabolic ticking time bomb. Around the same time, I also took to candy, these being some of my favorite drugs of choice. I really like the hard candy in particular, Nerds, Rents, Gobstoppers. And I am carb sensitive. My grandfather died of type 2 diabetes. My brother is epileptic, and we have a host of metabolic issues in our family. And this is one of the reasons that when I would eat this kind of food, my brain would light up like the sky on the 4th of July. This created a very, very addictive pattern for me. So when I was a teenager, we moved back to Canada from China. And all of this takeout Chinese food and candy, it started to show up on my body a little bit. When I was in school, all of the kids around me, especially the girls, they were all normal weight and they were petite. I had a growth spurt, so I was really tall, and I was so much bigger than them. I felt huge next to them, and I was teased quite a bit for being overweight. I developed a lot of shame about my body, and I didn't understand why all of them were just so naturally and easily slim, and I was struggling just dealing with all this extra weight. So I decided to turn to the most expert resource I could find on how to lose weight. Can you guess what it was? Around the age of 12, before social media. It was Cosmopolitan magazine. They had shiny covers with all these diet tips. So I read in there and I got the great advice to lose weight. You have to do what? Exercise and restrict your intake. So at the tender age of 12, I started running around the block every night and restricting my food intake, not really knowing what I was doing, just knowing I was desperate. I would do anything just to be like the other girls in my class. I counted calories constantly, and I was exercising, and I wasn't getting any of the results that I wanted to. By the time I got to college, fast forward about 5 to 6 years, I was still struggling with this. When I got to college, I experimented a lot. I know how that sounds, but that's not what I mean. I experimented with diets. I bought every diet book that I could find, and I tried every single one of them. I tried becoming a vegetarian, which I was for about 17 years until I found keto. I experimented with veganism, with raw foodism. I juiced, I smoothied, I ate giant salads with fat-free everything. I worked myself to exhaustion at the gym, running sometimes 2 hours a day, just to get the results that I so badly wanted. Now, all of this behavior started to add up, and around my mid-20s, I started to develop excruciating pain and a lot of autoimmune reactions in my body. I was eating still a lot of grains and carbs, and I started to develop these throbbing arthritic pains in my hands. I had constant back pain. I had headaches pretty much every day of the week, and I had this excruciating pain in my colon that had me doubled over in pain, clutching a wall a couple of times a week. It was terrifying, and I was facing the possibility of having to have part of my colon removed, which gave me constant anxiety. At my very lowest point here, I became extremely depressed because my biggest dream in life had always been to have a family. And every day I thought, how can I ever start a family, have children, if I can't even take care of myself? I'm riddled with pain and I have no energy. I remember visiting my parents around this time, and my dad looked at me because I couldn't get off the couch, and he's like, what's with you? Like, when I was your age, I was playing tennis all the time. I had all this energy, and I just didn't know what to tell him. I didn't know why. I was doing every single thing by the book, and I wasn't getting any of the results I wanted. Around this time, my husband's cousin heard of this little thing called gluten. She recommended that I get tested. I sent away for the test, and sure enough, my results came back off the charts. So I decided I'm just going to go off gluten for a few weeks and see what happens. I really have nothing to lose except for a large section of my colon. So I decided I would give it a try. Within just a few weeks, all of the pain in my hands, back, and colon completely dissipated. I felt so lit up about the potential for healing with proper nutrition that I started researching aggressively everything that I could find out about this, and this digging eventually led me to keto. Now, I initially came to keto just for the weight loss, but what I discovered was so much more powerful than that. I discovered effortless and sustainable weight loss, increased energy, no painful inflammation, high and consistent moods, lowered anxiety, and most of all, a mental clarity that I had never known was even possible. I effortlessly lost over 40 pounds and maintained that with so much ease. I experienced vibrant health. I became obsessed with keto, and I wanted to understand it inside and out. I started waking up every day at 4 a.m., about 3 to 4 hours before work, just so I could search online and find out more information about keto. Around that time in 2014, there wasn't all of these fantastic books and resources that there are right now. So I would troll these weird Reddit forums and obscure bodybuilding forums just to find out more information about keto. Around the same time, more and more people started asking me questions about keto because I had started posting, and a lot of people were coming to me with the same questions. Help, I've been doing keto for so long, I'm not getting any results, help. So I officially started my blog, Ketogenic Girl, in early 2015. Now, I made a ton of mistakes when I first came to keto, and I learned so much from those mistakes. I found that many people who were coming to keto, they were experiencing the exact same things. Pretty soon, I went from getting a few requests an hour to hundreds of requests an hour for help and information. So I decided to create a free ebook called Keto Reset, just to give people a little bit of information on how they could get started. But I found that people still needed more than just instructions. They also needed to have support. They needed to have help and ongoing help and community. Because of that, I created something called the 28-Day Ketogenic Girl Challenge. This program includes the meal plans, 28 days of meal plans, but it also has a Facebook group where I provide ongoing support and coaching. So anytime any member of the program had any question, I'm there to answer it. The great thing is we created this beautiful community where new people who were joining the group would then be helped by people who had joined already maybe several months or a year before. I wanted to just create a really, really easy way for people to just get started because there is so much information online and it's wonderful, but all of that information can really be overwhelming. So I wanted to just create a quick and easy program with basic recipes, all the macros pre-calculated, so people could just get over the information overwhelm and get started. We've had some incredible transformations in the program, and these are a couple that were featured in Reader's Digest. This one is one of my favorites. It's a family. So the first one was Bethany, and she joined the 28-day challenge. And she got such great results that her sister Erin decided to join, and then their mom joined them together, and they lost nearly 240 pounds together, gained so much health, went off medications, just had such incredible results in getting their health back. In the fall of 2015, I left my finance job full-time, and I turned to doing Ketogenic Girl full-time. Today, I can't believe how good my life is. I'm healthy. I'm excited about my future. I used to dread the idea of starting a family because I didn't know how I was possibly going to run after children, and now I have the energy to run around with our kids. My husband and I go traveling and hiking on the weekend instead of just being slaves to the couch and TV. My life feels like it's in full color now, because I have a mission and purpose, and that is to make the keto lifestyle easy to understand and navigate so you can live your most vibrant health. I love the word ketosis. I love the word ketosis so much, I might go out and get a tattoo of it. I just have to make sure that they spell it right. If we ever get a dog, I'll probably name it Keto. That's how much I love ketosis. Every day I feel inspired and so thankful that I get to work on this mission because it leads to my future vision. I have a vision to live in a world that is free of modern diseases that are potentially preventable through proper nutrition. I don't know about you, but I am so tired of seeing family members and friends close to me suffer through diseases that may have potentially been prevented through whole foods, proper nutrition. Now, I came to keto for the weight loss. I stayed for the disease prevention, and keto has done that for me, and I believe it can do that for many others as well. Now, according to nutritional scientists, one of my favorites, Dr. Benjamin Beekman, every non-infectious chronic disease has some connection to insulin resistance. Every non-infectious chronic disease has some connection to insulin resistance. Think about that. Now, this is one of the reasons I'm so passionate about keto, because it has a potential to democratize health for so many people out there. Now, some people say keto can be kind of an elitist thing. Dr. John Lemansky and I were talking about this, but when I created the 28-day challenge meal plans, my husband and I were on the tightest budget you can possibly imagine. I know what it's like for us we are aggressive savers, and we use coupons for everything, and I know that it's possible to do it on that kind of budget because we saved everything we could, and it was very, very difficult. But it's still possible to do that, and I really believe in the potential to democratize health. Now, just some quick disclaimers. I am not a trained physician, care provider, or formally trained nutritionist of any kind. And no information here should be construed as medical or professional advice. I'm not sponsored or affiliated by any companies other than my own Ketogenic Girl. I am an ambassador for Mercy Ships Canada, which is a floating hospital ship. You may have seen some posts that I've done about them, but it's a little shameless plug because I am obsessed with this organization, and a lot of proceeds from the 28-day challenge go to support the free surgeries that they do on this hospital ship in Africa. It's a wonderful organization. They're actually based in Dallas as well. They have their headquarters there, so I love to mention them whenever I can. So what I am is a lover of food and vibrant health. I'm a biohacker and a ketogenic woman. So before we dive into my top keto hacks, it's important to first understand really quick the 3 main reasons why keto is so effective when so many other diets have failed. In my opinion, the 3 main reasons are, not sure if you can see that first one there, the long-term compliance and sustainability as a satisfying lifestyle versus the restrictive and temporary nature of diets. When most people go on diets, I know I struggled to lose weight my entire life because I was always going on diets, which are temporary in nature. After the end of the diet, I would go back to whatever I was doing before, and that's just not sustainable. The second reason is because in ketosis, you become a primary fat burner instead of a primary sugar burner. The third reason is not only is it logical, it's science. Keto to me is just eating real, single ingredient foods, prioritizing nutrient-dense foods over refined sugars, starches, and processed inflammatory vegetable oils. I think that anyone can do keto as long as you're just replacing refined sugar, starches, and carbs with whole, single ingredient foods. It really doesn't have to be that complicated. Now we know, and you probably know a lot about insulin, it controls our metabolic function. The key point here is that in the presence of insulin, the body will not go into ketosis. Your body cannot burn its own fat and make ketones if you have a high insulin level in the body. So the key is really to create an insulin-scarce environment in the body. When insulin is up, our fat cells are growing. When it's down, the fat cells are shrinking, and ketones are being made from the stored fat on our body. It's really that simple. So now for my 8 keto hacks. Now these are all tried and true keto hacks that I've suggested over the years to people on my program, or anyone who comes to me isn't getting the results that they want, isn't getting into ketosis, or maybe they went off of keto for a bit and now they're back on it. So I just want to share some of my secret weapons, things that I found to be really, really effective in getting into ketosis. Number 1 is counting total carbs within a daily eating window, not net carbs. Some people find that too restrictive, but many studies have shown that there's actually a switch that happens in the body for you to go into ketosis and start burning fat, and it really happens around the 30-gram total carb per day and below. If you're counting net carbs, I was doing that a lot when I first started, which is subtracting the fiber from the total carbs. You may actually just be eating more carbs than you think. So if you're in ketosis and it's working well for you, great. If you're hitting a stall or you're not getting the ketones or the blood sugar that you want to see, you can try counting net carbs. And all of these are suggestions to try and see if they work for you. Combining keto with intermittent fasting happens really naturally on keto because you feel so much fuller and satiated. But it's also important to make sure you have an 8-hour or so eating window that closes every day. The earlier it closes, the better. Now, hack number 2 is connected to the first one. I really don't believe that it's that necessary for most people to do fasting to see results. The important thing is really just time-restricted eating. And Dr. Sachin Panda and Dr. Jason Fung and my friend Megan, they've done amazing work with this in their clinical setting. And there are studies that have shown that people will eat the exact same food and close their eating window earlier in the day by about 6 hours, and thus that group will lose a lot more weight, a lot more fat than the group that's eating the same food but eating until later in the day. So just closing your eating window earlier in the day can also be a great hack. Now this hack is not a popular one, but it's really my secret weapon. Now grazing or nursing, what I call nursing, is one of the things that can really hold back people from results, and it's one of the hardest habits to break. I know for me, I was one of those people that constantly had a diet soda in their hand or a sugar-free latte, sometimes both, I don't know, depending on the day. But I was constantly nursing on sweetened drinks. And what can happen with this is, one, the body, through these studies, have shown that as soon as the tongue tastes sweetness, the body then releases insulin in order to prepare for the calories that it thinks are coming in. So if you drink a drink that tastes sweet to the tongue but has no calories, what's going to happen is the body's going to secrete the insulin. It's going to go into the bloodstream and push any glucose in there into your cells. So your blood sugar, which was stable, is going to drop. Then you're going to have all these cravings for sugar and carbs just so that your body is screaming to get its blood sugar back up. I found for myself that I prefer to live without cravings. It just makes life easier for me. I don't believe that you don't have to have sweeteners. I really believe, though, that sometimes it can help if you just have sweeteners with meal times. So instead of doing them in a drink that you're having between meals, you're just having them at your meal because your body's going to secrete insulin anyway for the food that's coming in. Another thing that you can do, I tend to think of sweeteners as training wheels, and I'm so thankful that they exist, because if they didn't exist, I may and most likely would never have tried keto. I was able to make the transition off of my carb-heavy, candy-laden diet because of wonderful sweeteners like stevia and erythritol. But over time on keto, you may develop a more savory palate. And if you just try removing them for a week, you may see that you get through or break through a stall. Now, are you a sweets or savory person? Raise your hand if you're a sweets person. Me too. Now, raise your hands if you're a savory person. Me too. Yeah, I like them both. Now, the ironic thing is I went off sweeteners personally about a year ago because I found that I just had cravings all the time. And it really helped reduce them for me. But the ironic thing is now everything tastes sweet to me because my receptors have downregulated. And I tasted eggplant the other day that tasted like banana. I'm not lying. It was so sweet. So it's really kind of a cool effect. If you do just reduce them, you'll notice that foods start to taste a lot sweeter. So number 3 is getting more into the testing. I love testing. I love testing my blood ketones. I love testing my blood sugar. But I really find the most important thing is testing blood glucose primarily. Don't go by ketones primarily. One, it's so much more affordable to just test your blood sugar than to be testing your ketones every day. That's absolutely ridiculous. But because ketones and blood sugar are inversely correlated, if your blood sugar is staying nice and low, fasted in the morning, for me that's at about 90 and below in the morning, then your ketones are generally going to be in ketosis. And as long as you're getting 0.5 millimolar ketones, you're probably doing fine and in ketosis. The other point I make here is identify your personal optimal zone. So it's great to take notes and journal on when you feel your best and correlate that with what those numbers are because it can be different for different people. The other thing is ketones are really a measure when you test them of how many are left in your blood after your body has utilized all of the ketones your body has produced for energy and all the ketones that you have ingested from food. So just because someone may have lower ketones, it doesn't mean that they're not deep in ketosis. What we're really aiming for with keto is to have low and steady blood glucose levels. And to me, that's the most important thing, and many doctors that I've interviewed have also confirmed it's the most important thing for your metabolic health. Number 4 is a major one, finding your personal protein sweet spot. Now, protein is a major, major issue of contention in the ketogenic sphere right now. One of the things that we've learned from Dr. Benjamin Beekman is not to fear protein intake. We want to prioritize it. And you really need to get the right amount. So you need to get at least the minimum that your body needs to generate new tissue. And also, you need to make sure that you're not under-eating protein as well. So you need to find that personal range for you, and testing can help you do that. So what you can do is start off just with a range. So you can take 0.4 times your body weight in pounds and 0.6 times your body weight in pounds. And that just gives you a range that you can try and test the upper limit. So, for example, on the first day, test your upper limit. Say your upper limit is 90 grams of protein. Eat that much protein in the day, and then the next day test and see if your blood glucose is looking good. If it's above 100 or 110, which is what we want to avoid, then you can lower it by 5 grams or 10 grams and then test that the next day. Number 5 is eat more fat, especially at first. At the beginning, we need to eat more fat, and I certainly dove headfirst in. I went from eating 0 grams of fat. I would even use, the spray oil and put that on the pan because I was so terrified of any fat, because I truly believed that any fat that you ate would just go right on your body. I mean, isn't that what we were all taught? So I really, really feared eating fat. And so I dove right in. I did 150 to 200 grams of fat per day. And this really helped me not only get into ketosis, but also start to make fat-burning enzymes, which are known as lipases. So that really helps you with the adaptation period. If you're doing ketosis for therapeutic reasons, for the anti-inflammatory effect of ketones, then you can still keep up that level of fat. If your goal is just to burn fat, you can try, and if you've hit a stall, you can try reducing the fat just by a little bit, and you may burn more fat on your body. Once you're adapted, you're able to access all of your body fat stores, and I found this to be really effective for myself personally and many of the people that I've worked with. I'm not saying don't eat fat. I don't want my fats to be taken away from me. I love eating fat. Continue to eat fat, but you can reduce it, say, from an 80% percentage down to 65% if your goal is to burn more fat, and see if that works for you. I recently did a 7-day carnivore experiment where I did 0 carb because I thought it was absolutely insane. And so I thought the best way to learn about it was just to try it out for myself. One of the things that I noticed about it is that it really helped reduce cravings that I had because you're just eating meat. There is some research that shows that a lot of times when we have food cravings, it can come from the fact that we may be nutrient deficient in protein. So one of the things that carnivore 0 carb does is you eat more protein, and it can help reduce cravings. It can also be used as a very useful elimination protocol. So if you have any lingering health issues, one of the things that I found is that during those 7 days, I had no inflammation or bloating, which was really nice. And I also have my wedding ring. I hadn't been able to take it off for a couple weeks, and it started just spinning around on my finger and coming right off. So it was really interesting to me that it reduced so much of the inflammation. So what I started doing is just reintroducing each carb one at a time and seeing how it affected my body. So it's it's kind of a fun thing to do if you like to geek out on this stuff like I do. Now, number 7 may be one of the most important things, and I see this over and over again. If you're someone who has constantly made 2 steps forward, gone 1 step back, you lose a bunch of weight, you're feeling great, suddenly I have 20 pounds on my body again. I don't know how that happened. I see this all the time, and a lot of it really is unknowingly self-sabotaging ourselves. And it's really important to not only want to be healthier, but also allow that for yourself. One of my favorite affirmations is, every day I'm allowing more health, energy, and strength while inspiring others to do so as well. It sounds really corny, but affirmations can be so, so powerful. And it can also make us more mindful about times that we're sabotaging ourselves. So one of the things that I always did is I would snack at night, especially when my husband and I were watching programs on TV. And I noticed this pattern. I started to notice that that's when I would really want to snack. And I realized it's because a lot of times I was really bored by what we were watching, so I just wanted to entertain myself with food. I started replacing that habit with doing some coloring, and there's other repetitive hand motions that really have been shown to build oxytocin, and it really helped me be more mindful about that. So my last hack sounds counterintuitive: slow down to speed up. Now, when I first started doing this, I created my free ebook, which is available at Ketogenic Girl, and it was all about how to take things as slowly and gradually as possible. Now, we all want results yesterday, and I was recently interviewed by the journalist at the Orlando Sentinel, and she said, "What's the biggest challenge for you with keto or for people with keto?" And she thought I was going to say something about diet. And I said, honestly, it's just taking our time, because we all want to have those results so quickly that we just dive in and rush things. And I honestly believe that a lot of keto flu symptoms are created by the fact that we rush into things. And a lot of them can be avoided by just very gradually reducing, say, even if you've been on low carb and you're going keto, reducing things very gradually over several weeks, introducing fat very gradually also, doing things very lovingly for your body, and it's going to respond a lot better than if you just jump in too fast and try to get all those results too quickly. So these are my top 8 keto hacks. 1, count total carbs in a daily eating window. 2, avoid grazing or nursing with time-restricted eating. 3, rely on blood glucose testing primarily, and test your blood glucose if you can. Number 4, find your personal protein threshold. 5, eat more fat, especially at first. 6, try zero-carb meals or zero-carb days. 7, beat self-sabotage. And 8, slow down to speed up. If you ever feel overwhelmed by keto information, I really do make it my mission to make all of this as easy as possible for you to get results. So these are some of the places you can find out more about my cookbook, which is also a guide to keto, my podcast, and also the 20-day Ketogenic Girl Challenge. Now, keto can connect you with your body in an entirely new way. In the past, I always wanted to punish my body, and I hated being in my body. Now I love my body and appreciate all that it does for me. I understand how it responds to different food through testing. I can learn and see its response to things. I listen into what it actually wants and needs. I appreciate all those trillions of cells that are working diligently on our behalf, and I picture them like these tiny little minions that are working so hard just to make us happy and survive. They're all just trying to keep us alive and healthy. And the best way that I can show appreciation to all those cells is by lovingly feeding it nourishing foods and also nourishing thoughts of appreciation. I thank my body daily by feeding it real nourishing food. When you connect with your body in this way, miracles can happen and vibrant health can emerge. Imagine what it would be like if it would be possible if all of us woke up every day full of energy and life by nurturing our bodies through nutrition. Together, I really believe that by living the keto lifestyle and spreading the word about keto, we can create a world free of modern disease. Thank you. I think we have a few minutes for questions. If anyone has any here, I can address them, or if you prefer to ask me on the side privately, we can do that too.
I've heard a few people mentioning today about sort of like the earlier you stop eating, the better.
Yes.
And I mean, if there's 24 hours in a day, why does it matter which 24 or which hours you choose to eat? Why is that different?
That is such a great question. It really has to do with our circadian rhythms and our hormonal cycles. So our hormonal cycles start to cycle at night, and if you eat beyond a certain time in the day, you can offset those patterns. So there's certain hormones in particular that are activated when we go to sleep that burn fat, especially if we go to bed like around 10 p.m. at night. Glucagon surges several times throughout the night, and if you eat too late, then you can throw that cycle off, and so you won't get that fat burning in the same way as if you close your eating window earlier in the day. So it's really just the circadian rhythms. And Dr. Sachin Panda, he's got some interviews and videos on YouTube where he talks just specifically about the circadian rhythms and why it works. And he shows like the different tests that they did and stuff.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you guys so much for having me, and I'd love to catch you on Instagram or Facebook or off on the side if you have any other questions.